Was the Leaning Tower of Pisa designed this way? The answer may surprise you. The truth about the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is one of the most recognizable landmarks in the world. Millions of tourists travel to Italy every year to see the famous tower and take photographs pretending to hold it up with their hands. Its unusual tilt transformed the structure into a global icon, appearing in movies, documentaries, and travel guides for generations. But behind the humorous tourist photos lies a fascinating story filled with engineering mistakes, political conflict, scientific discovery, near collapse, and one of history's most famous architectural accidents. The truth is that the Leaning Tower of Pisa was never meant to lean at all. The tower was originally designed as a bell tower for the Cathedral of Pisa, located in the city's magnificent cathedral complex known as the Piazza dei Miracoli, or Square of Miracles. During the Middle Ages, Pisa was one of the most powerful maritime republics in Italy. Alongside Venice, Genoa, and Amalfi, Pisa became wealthy through trade, naval power, and Mediterranean commerce. To demonstrate the city's wealth and prestige, Pisa's leaders launched massive construction projects during the 11th and 12th centuries. The cathedral complex included a cathedral, baptistry, cemetery, and eventually the famous bell tower. Construction of the tower began in 1173. At first, everything seemed normal. Builders started laying the white marble foundation and constructing the lower floors according to the original design. However, disaster struck almost immediately. After only a few levels had been completed, the tower began sinking unevenly into the ground. The problem came from the soil beneath the structure. Pisa was built on soft ground composed of clay, sand, and mud left behind by ancient rivers and coastal activity. The tower's foundation was also surprisingly shallow for such a heavy structure, measuring only about 3 meters deep. As construction continued, one side of the foundation sank more than the other, causing the tower to tilt. Ironically, this engineering mistake would later make the tower world famous. At the time, however, the tilt was considered a serious threat. Builders attempted to correct the problem by making adjustments to higher floors, constructing one side slightly taller than the other in hopes of balancing the structure. This created another unusual feature. The tower is not perfectly straight even aside from the lean. Some sections are slightly curved because different builders attempted corrections during various construction stages. Political conflicts unexpectedly helped save the tower from collapse. During the Middle Ages, Pisa became involved in wars and rivalries with neighboring Italian city-states such as Genoa, Florence, and Lucca. Construction on the tower stopped multiple times due to financial difficulties and military conflict. These long pauses turned out to be fortunate. Because construction slowed for decades, the soil beneath the tower had time to settle gradually. If builders had completed the structure too quickly, the tower might have collapsed during construction. Work resumed several times over nearly 2 centuries before the tower was finally completed around 1372. Despite the tilt, the structure stood remarkably stable for generations. The tower eventually reached about 56 meters in height and contained 7 bells corresponding to musical notes. Its elegant Romanesque architecture, white marble exterior, and arcaded design made it one of the most beautiful bell towers in Europe. Still, the lean continued slowly worsening over the centuries. As time passed, gravity and unstable soil caused the tower to tilt more dramatically. Engineers and architects repeatedly worried the structure might eventually collapse. Yet the tower survived wars, storms, and earthquakes that destroyed many other historic buildings. One of the greatest mysteries surrounding the Leaning Tower of Pisa is why it remained standing for so long despite its severe tilt. Modern engineers later discovered that the same soft soil causing the lean also helped prevent collapse. The tower and the unstable ground interacted in a unique way that reduced dangerous vibrations during earthquakes. This phenomenon likely helped the structure survive seismic activity that damaged nearby buildings. The tower also became linked to one of history's most famous scientists, Galileo Galilei. According to popular legend, Galileo conducted experiments from the top of the tower in the late 16th century. He supposedly dropped objects of different weights to demonstrate that they fell at the same speed regardless of mass, challenging ancient theories about gravity. Although historians debate whether this experiment truly occurred at the tower, the story strengthened the monument's connection to science and discovery. By the 19th and 20th centuries, concern about the tower's stability intensified. As the lean increased, various restoration attempts were made, some of which actually worsened the situation. Engineers experimented with adding concrete foundations, removing soil, and reinforcing sections of the structure. Certain efforts unintentionally accelerated the tilt. At one point, the tower leaned more than 5 degrees from vertical, placing enormous pressure on its lower structure. By the late 20th century, experts feared the tower might collapse within decades if nothing was done. In 1990, the Italian government closed the tower to the public for emergency stabilization work. Massive engineering operations began to save the monument. The rescue project became one of the most complex architectural preservation efforts in history. Engineers installed steel cables, counterweights, and advanced monitoring systems to stabilize the tower. One of the most successful techniques involved carefully removing small amounts of soil from beneath the higher side of the foundation. This allowed the tower to slowly settle backward in a controlled way. The process reduced the tilt significantly while preserving the tower's historic appearance. After years of work, the Leaning Tower of Pisa reopened to visitors in 2001. Experts declared the structure stable for at least another few centuries. Today, the tower remains one of Italy's most visited landmarks and one of the most famous buildings on Earth. Yet beyond tourism, the tower tells a much deeper story. It represents the unpredictability of human ambition. Builders intended to create a perfect symbol of wealth and power, but an engineering mistake transformed the structure into something far more unique and unforgettable. The tower also demonstrates the extraordinary resilience of medieval architecture. Despite poor foundations, centuries of leaning, wars, weather, and human error, the structure endured when many other monuments disappeared. Perhaps most importantly, the Leaning Tower of Pisa reminds us that imperfections can become history's greatest strengths. What was once viewed as a construction failure eventually became one of the world's most beloved architectural wonders. From medieval engineers struggling with unstable soil to modern scientists fighting to preserve the monument, the story of the Leaning Tower of Pisa spans more than 8 centuries of human creativity, error, and determination. Its famous lean continues attracting millions of visitors not because the tower is flawless, but because it survived despite its flaws. And that may be the greatest truth behind the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Sometimes the most extraordinary monuments in history are not the ones built perfectly, but the ones that refuse to fall.